Hey guys, welcome back. You may remember that last week on Tiny Giveaway Tuesday, I proposed 2 different projects. And by your votes in the comments, the project that won was a mini album that is made from this paper pack. And this is P13, Garden of Books. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to make a cardstock album. That's a pretty simple design. And today is part 1 of a multi-parter. I'm going to go ahead and put together the cardstock album cover and the binding. Stay tuned. Okay, to get started with this cardstock album, we are going to be using Brutus Monroe Macchiato cardstock. And I don't know what the weight of this is, but it's got to be at least 100 pounds. Let's see, it doesn't say, but that's what the package looks like. And this is my favorite, and I think I'm going to be replacing, as I run out of different colors, I'm going to be replacing them with Brutus Monroe. So it's really sturdy, it folds really nicely, and I think it's well worth the price. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take a couple sheets of our 8.5 by 11, and you'll see I have some post-it notes here that are going to help me remember what these specific pages are for. And this one we are going to score, and actually when I scored it this way. We're going to score the first sheet at 3 inches, 5 1/4 inches, and go ahead and burnish those, fold them and burnish them. And then the next one will be at 2 1/4 inches and 5 inches. And this is going to make the front cover and closure of our book. And I'll show you that here. We're going to go ahead and take, let's see, 2 1/4. This one goes like this. So we have a 3-inch flap. So we're going to maybe put a magnet or some sort of closure on here. But here's the flap. It'll open this way. And then so this will be an inside spine. And then we are going to go ahead and glue this piece. So you see it is in this orientation. And we're going to glue it down to make this back piece 6 inches. So to make it maybe a little more clear, this section is from 5 inches to 11 inches, which makes it 6 inches. So this is going to be the front cover. This will be the flap that closes down. And so it'll open like this. This will be stuck down somehow. And there you have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I turn what is 5 3/4. So this section right here is 5 3/4. I'm going to make sure that when I glue this section down that it becomes 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them down flat. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and line up this sheet of paper so that this fold is right at one of the lines on my grid. And so you can do this with your grid. You can do this with your scoring board, whatever it makes it easier for you. Actually, yeah, let me zoom over. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue down this so that this fold is on one of these lines. And so it might be crooked in the frame, but it will be pretty straight. So now if I were to run or stick a ruler right here or some other straight edge, you would see that this line goes all the way down this same mark. And so I'm just gonna put some mint tape, you can use washi tape or purple tape, down here so that it can move around a little bit. I don't have to hold down both pieces of cardstock while I'm trying to make this even seam here. So we needed, so this was 5 3/4. This section is 5 3/4. So we need to add another 1/2 inch onto this. So wait, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. Okay. So I just need to add another 1/4 inch onto this end. So I'm going to glue this down and then I'm going to overlap it so that it adds about another 1/4 inch on to the back of our cardstock. Just bending my head over to see. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and use these lines so that they're straight. Just a tiny bit more. I'm going to glue this down to add about 1/4 inch. And adhere it down. You want to kind of get the seam to run straight across here and down here, and that will kind of help you make sure that you're not adhering them like this. So there's that. So now I think I can get rid of my Post-its. And now we have our little book. All right, all right. So now the second part of this is that we are going to make a gusset binding. Okay, so to start our binding, we are going to score a sheet of cardstock. We are going to score 1/2 inch and then 1/4 inch, and then all across the rest it'll be 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. Once you see, if you're not familiar with this binding style, once you see it folded up, it'll make a little more sense. But start at 1/2 inch and then do 1/4 inch. So that would be at 3/4. And then if you want to follow along just based on the markings, your next is 1 1/4, and then you have 1 3/4, and then you have 2, then you have 2 1/2, and 3, 3 1/4, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 5, 5 1/2, 5 3/4, 6 1/4, 6 3/4, 7, 7 1/2, 8, 8 1/4, 8 3/4, 9 1/4, 9 1/2. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. 8 3/4, 9 1/4, and 9 1/2. That's right. Okay. So once you've scored all of that, we're going to start folding. And so if you've made one of these bindings before, what we're doing is we are making one sheet of little page points where you're going to add a page to. So it's kind of like if you made a hill valley fold all the way across, only you are going to keep some of the pieces flat because those are the pieces that are going to be glued to this flat piece of our book. So, all right, got our 1/2 inch and then our 1/4 inch. And then we have 2 1/2 inch pieces. And this 1/2 inch, these 2 1/2 inch pieces are going to fold together. And I'm going to glue them together. And so what we have here is a little gusset. So what we have now is 1 1/2 inch piece that is going to be in the book at this angle. This flat piece here is going to be flat against the spine, and then these 2 1/2 inch score marks are going to be glued together. And basically what that makes is kind of a little piece of paper that you can add your page to. And then we're going to go ahead and go all the way across, and in the same fashion, every time there are 2 1/2 inch score marks next to each other, we glue those together from the bottom, and we make another little pointy uppy part that we're going to adhere a page to. So, hope that makes sense. There are a lot of people on the YouTubes that probably explain that much better than I do. So I will see if I can find one that makes a little more sense. And if this binding, it would be helpful for me to do a full tutorial on just how to do this binding piece, then I'm happy to do that, you know, on a larger piece of paper and, you know, mark my score marks with a felt pen or whatever helps to be able to see what is really going on here. I know that with the brown paper also, it's a little hard to see. So I'm just going to keep scoring, burnishing. You may have noticed that I didn't fold these all in the right direction. I just wanted to be able to get in there and loosen up the fibers and fold them over, and then I will put them all in the right orientation as I glue them down. So we'll get started with that now. So this is how we had our paper on the board when we were scoring it. So I'm just going to flip it over this way. So I see, or you'll see I have this 1/2 inch and then a 1/4 inch and then the 2 1/2 inch pieces. And so I'm going to go ahead and put some glue in there and fold them under. You can use whatever adhesive you want here. I'm using art glitter glue because that's what I use. You could use the double-sided tape. It's pretty good for this. I don't anticipate needing a ton of you'll see every time I have those 2 1/2 inch pieces that are next to each other, I'm going to glue them. They're all going to be facing up in the same direction. Let's see if we can get it like this. Now they all need to be facing in this direction. And that's where our pages are going to go. So just continue. Every time you have the 2 together, just glue them together and make sure that they're all pointing up in the same direction. And it'll just come together. Looks like I missed a score mark there, or I missed a fold. So there. Glue all over. And as you start gluing across, it gets a little easier to manage. All right, so I'm down to my last little glued piece here for the binding. Now, the way we did our score marks, there's going to be a piece of cardstock that is about 1.5 inches long that is still sticking up at the end. So we have the one piece. Let's see what we can, how we can see this here. So this is our first flap. This is that first 1/2 inch. You see 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch glued together, quarter inch, half inch glued together, quarter inch, half inch glued together, all the way across. And now this one is about an inch and a half, and we are just going to leave that there for now. And we're going to attach something to it later on in our project. So, I'm going to go ahead and get our book. Okay, so now we have our gusset binding. And let's see if I can get this to show up nicely. I'll go ahead and even these out a little bit. Looks like I need some glue right here. Just hold these two together. And now it's ready. To glue into my book. Here is our book. Well, here's our cover. This half-inch piece, where it's scored right at a half inch, is going to be glued down to meet the score that is here. So art glitter glue dries pretty quickly. So I am going to, I think, try to glue this one piece down first and get these seams to meet these score marks, just like I said. Of course, now I'm getting glue everywhere, but that glue, of course, will be covered up once we decorate our book. And it's just about right there, so. And it looks like there's an extra score mark here, but don't forget that's where we glued down the two pieces of cardstock together. So now that that is adhered and looks relatively straight, I'm just gonna go ahead, smash down some glue all the way across here. And I'm going to go ahead and put some pressure in between these little pages. So those little flat pieces that are 1/4 of an inch, I'm just going to run my bone folder down each one. Give it a second to kind of adhere to the bottom so that it is relatively flat against there. And there we go. So now we have what almost looks like a little scrapbook mini album with a flap closure that opens, and then the pages will be here. I do believe I'm going to put a little waterfall here, but I think once we get into decorating the album as a whole, we'll figure that out. There's a lot of room. There's 1/4 of an inch, as you know, between each of the pages. So it would be just as easy to put a page in the book that is a waterfall. We'll see what happens in part 2. Thanks for joining me. I hope this is all making sense. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them, and maybe I can answer them in part 2 of the video. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, safety first. Whoa. Whoops. Scoreboard just fell.